A samurai stood before a crucial letter he needed to write. It would determine his next duel, his reputation, his survival. The logical part of his brain said, "Write it now." But another part whispered, "Later." He recognized this voice instantly. The procrastination program running in his mind. And instead of fighting it with willpower, he deleted the program entirely. The letter was written in 5 minutes. The procrastination voice never returned. There's a mental reprogramming protocol that Japanese warriors developed in the 1500s that neuroscience only discovered in 2021. They called it Enki Sokuhatsu, instant action programming. Western researchers call it behavioral override through pattern interruption, and they've proven it can eliminate chronic procrastination in 21 days. But there's a problem. Everything you've been taught about beating procrastination is strengthening the very pattern you're trying to break. Have you ever noticed how the harder you fight procrastination, the stronger it gets? How you promise yourself, "I'll start tomorrow," knowing you won't. How you feel guilty about procrastinating but still can't make yourself act. That's not weakness. That's a program running in your brain that you've accidentally trained for years. You know that feeling when you have something important to do, but you do everything except that thing, cleaning instead of working, researching instead of creating, planning instead of executing. That's not laziness. That's your mind running a procrastination program, so deeply embedded that it activates automatically. Today, you'll discover why Miyamoto Musashi, who fought over 60 death duels, never procrastinated on a single one. Why his mind couldn't generate the later response that destroys most people. And why the ancient Japanese understood something modern psychology is just proving. You can't fight procrastination with willpower. You have to reprogram the mental pattern that creates it. But there's a catch. Reprogramming your mind will require you to deliberately trigger your procrastination response, then interrupt it in specific ways. And most people would rather keep procrastinating than face the discomfort of rewiring their brain. Before I reveal how to delete the procrastination program from your mind permanently, subscribe to the channel, like the video below, and comment on what you procrastinate on most. This really helps the channel reach more people, and I love reading and interacting with all of you. Now, let's begin with the moment Musashi realized procrastination was a trained pattern, not a personality trait. Chapter 1. The Awakening. Musashi sat in a room at age 20, staring at his sword that needed sharpening. He'd been staring at it for 3 days. Every morning, "I'll sharpen it today." Every evening, "Tomorrow for sure." The voice in his head was consistent. "Not now. Later." The 4th morning, he had a duel scheduled. His opponent arrived. Musashi's sword was dull. He nearly died because his blade couldn't cut cleanly through his opponent's guard. He won barely, through pure skill compensating for equipment failure. After the duel, sitting with his still dull sword, something broke in him. Not anger, understanding. "Hey, I've been saying, I'll do it tomorrow for 3 days. But tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow is always today when it arrives. And when it arrives, the voice says, 'Tomorrow again.' This voice is lying. There is no tomorrow. There's only now and not now, and I keep choosing not now." He realized. Procrastination wasn't about the task being difficult. Sharpening a sword takes 10 minutes. It wasn't about lacking time. He'd spent hours doing nothing. It was about a voice in his head that said, "Later." And he'd been trained to obey that voice without question. That night, he conducted an experiment. He placed his sword in front of him. The voice immediately activated. "Sharpen it tomorrow." He noticed the voice, noticed the feeling of, "I'll do it later," noticed his body wanting to stand up and do something else. Then he did something different. Instead of obeying the voice or fighting it, he asked, "Who is generating this voice?" The answer shocked him. He was. His own mind was generating a procrastination response, automatically as a trained habit, like a program running in the background. And he'd been unconsciously obeying this program for years. More experiments followed. Every task appeared. Immediate voice. later. Every decision needed, automatic thought, tomorrow. Every action required, instant resistance, not now. The pattern was 100% consistent. Task appears to procrastination program activates to he obeys. The revelation, he'd accidentally trained his brain to procrastinate. Thousands of times he'd had a task, felt resistance, chosen later, and experienced relief. His brain learned, resistance plus delay equals relief. This became a program. Now, whenever tasks appeared, the program automatically ran, generate resistance, suggest delay, produce relief when delay is chosen. He understood. You can't fight a program with willpower. You have to reprogram it, delete the old pattern, install a new pattern, make instant action the automatic response instead of delay. A neuroscientist studying habit formation and procrastination for 18 years explains the mechanism. When you repeatedly pair a cue, task appears with a response, delay the task, and get a reward, relief from discomfort. Your brain creates an automatic habit loop. After enough repetitions, the response becomes unconscious. You procrastinate without deciding to procrastinate. The program runs automatically. Musashi realized, for 20 years, he'd been running the procrastination program thousands of times. The neural pathway was deeply carved, but neural pathways can be rewritten. He needed a reprogramming protocol. Chapter 2. The Principle of Shunkan Kōdō. Instant Action Pattern. 3 days after his near-death duel, Musashi began training the first principle, Shunkan Kōdō, the instant action pattern. The practice of creating a new automatic response that overrides procrastination. Musashi wrote, "The procrastinator's brain runs. Task appears to feel resistance to delay to relief. This loop has been practiced 10,000 times. It's automatic. To change it, you must practice a new loop 10,000 times. Task appears to act immediately to completion relief. Eventually, the new loop becomes automatic." The key insight. You can't delete the procrastination program by not procrastinating. You delete it by overriding it with a stronger program. Instant action. The Shunkan Kōdō training protocol. The 3-second rule. When any task appears in your awareness, you have exactly 3 seconds to begin physical action toward it. Count. 1, 2, 3. Move. Don't think about the task. Don't plan the task. Don't evaluate the task. Just count and move. This interrupts the procrastination program before it fully activates. Micro-task immediate execution. Break every task into the smallest possible first action. Don't write the letter. Pick up pen. Don't clean room. Pick up one item. The micro-action is so small that resistance can't build. Execute it immediately. This trains the instant action pattern. The movement override. The procrastination program lives in thinking. I should do this, but maybe later. I'll do it tomorrow. Break the thinking by moving your body immediately. When task appears, stand up instantly. Walk toward the task. Physical movement interrupts mental loops. Musashi's training was systematic. He created a list of tiny tasks throughout his day, deliberately designed to trigger procrastination. Sharpen sword, clean room, write letter, practice specific technique, mend clothing. Every single task, he practiced the new pattern. Task awareness to 3-second count to immediate movement. Day 1. His procrastination program fought back hard. The voice screamed, "Tomorrow, later, not now." But he held the 3-second rule. Count, move. The voice didn't stop, but he stopped obeying it. Day 7. Something shifted. The automatic later voice was still there, but quieter. His body was starting to move before his mind could generate full resistance. Now day 14. The new pattern was competing with the old pattern. Sometimes he procrastinated, sometimes he acted instantly. The programs were fighting for dominance. Day 30. Instant action was winning most of the time. The 3-second rule had become almost automatic. Task appeared. He counted. He moved. The procrastination voice still existed, but it was losing power. Research on habit replacement shows why this works. The brain doesn't delete old neural pathways. It builds new ones that compete. When you practice a new pattern consistently, it strengthens daily. Eventually, the new pathway becomes stronger than the old pathway. The new pattern becomes the default automatic response. But Musashi discovered a problem. The 3-second rule worked for small tasks, but big tasks, duels requiring extensive preparation, the complex training sequences, long-term projects. His mind would still generate, "I'll do it later," even after immediate movement. He needed something deeper. Chapter 3. The Principle of Kyōfu. No Riyō, using fear. 6 weeks into instant action training, Musashi faced his first major test, a duel scheduled 30 days away against a superior opponent. He needed intense daily preparation, but his procrastination program activated powerfully. "You have 30 days, start tomorrow. One day won't matter." He discovered the second principle, Kyōfu no Riyō, using fear to override procrastination. The deliberate practice of making the cost of delay more terrifying than the discomfort of action. Musashi wrote, "The procrastinator's mind calculates discomfort of doing now versus relief of delaying. Relief wins. To reprogram, I reverse the calculation, terror of consequences versus discomfort of doing now. Terror wins." Most people try to reduce fear to overcome procrastination. Don't think about failure. Stay positive. Visualize success. This removes the very force that could override procrastination. Musashi did the opposite. He amplified fear deliberately. The Kyōfu no Riyō practice. Consequence. Visualization. Before every training session, sit and vividly imagine the worst outcome of procrastination. Not vaguely, in extreme detail. Musashi visualized losing the duel, his sword failing, his body cut open, dying in the dirt, his name forgotten, his mother's shame. 5 minutes of pure consequence visualization before each training. The death timeline. Calculate exactly when consequences arrive. I have 30 days until the duel. If I don't train today, I have 29 days. Each day I delay, death gets 1 day closer. Make the timeline visible, concrete, undeniable. The no second chance reality. Remind yourself that this specific moment will never return. If I don't train right now, this moment is lost forever. I can't get today back tomorrow. This is the only chance I have to train today. The first morning, Musashi sat and visualized losing the duel in graphic detail. His body dying, his reputation destroyed, his life ending. The fear was overwhelming. Then he thought, I could train right now and reduce this probability, or I could delay and increase it. The choice was suddenly obvious. Train now. For 30 days straight, before every training session, 5 minutes of consequence visualization, immediate action. The fear of consequences became stronger than the comfort of delay. The procrastination program couldn't compete with survival instinct. The duel arrived. Musashi had trained intensely every single day. He won easily. His preparation was so thorough that his opponent never had a chance. But the real victory wasn't the duel. It was discovering that fear could be used as a tool, not avoided as an enemy. The right fear, applied correctly, deletes procrastination instantly. Modern psychology research on implementation intentions and mental contrasting supports this. When subjects vividly imagine both positive outcomes and obstacles/failures, their commitment to action increases significantly. The fear of failure, when made concrete rather than vague, becomes a powerful motivator that overrides procrastination tendencies. However, the Musashi discovered a limitation. Fear worked for tasks with clear consequences, duels, survival. But for tasks with distant or unclear consequences, daily practice with no immediate test, long-term skill building, life projects, fear was insufficient. He needed the third principle. Chapter 4. The Principle of Komoku Bunkatsu. Task decimation. At age 25, Musashi set a goal: master a new sword technique that would take an estimated 10,000 hours of practice. The moment he conceptualized 10,000 hours, his procrastination program activated massively. That's 27 years at 1 hour daily. I'll start next week when I'm more prepared. He discovered the third principle: Komoku Bunkatsu, task decimation. The practice of breaking down overwhelming tasks until they're too small to trigger procrastination. Musashi wrote, "The procrastinator's mind sees 10,000 hours and freezes. The achiever's mind sees only the next 5 minutes. Massive tasks trigger procrastination, tiny tasks trigger action. Reduce every task to the minimum viable action." The procrastination program has a threshold. Small tasks don't trigger it strongly. Pick up sword generates minimal resistance. Large tasks trigger maximum resistance. Practice for 10,000 hours generates overwhelming procrastination. The solution: never present your brain with large tasks. Always reduce to micro-actions. The Komoku Bunkatsu Protocol. The 5-minute reduction. Whatever the task, and to reduce it to, what can I do in 5 minutes? Not master the technique. Practice one movement for 5 minutes. Not write the book. Write for 5 minutes. The 5-minute version doesn't trigger procrastination because the commitment is tiny. The single next action. Never think about the entire project. Only identify the single next physical action, not 10,000 hours of practice. Pick up sword now. Complete that action. Then identify the next single action. Chain of micro-actions replaces overwhelming totality. The present-only focus. Train your brain to think only about present action, never future completion. I'm not practicing for 10,000 hours. I'm practicing right now for 5 minutes. After these 5 minutes, I'll decide the next 5 minutes. Eliminate future from consideration. Only now exists. Musashi tested this on his 10,000-hour goal. He never thought 10,000 hours again. Every day, I will practice this movement for 5 minutes right now. At the end of 5 minutes, he'd decide, 5 more minutes or stop. Usually he'd continue, but the decision was always just 5 more minutes, never the whole commitment. 3 months passed. He'd practiced 90+ hours without experiencing procrastination once, because he never triggered the procrastination program. His brain never saw overwhelming task. It only ever saw 5 minutes right now. 5 years passed. He'd accumulated thousands of hours. The technique was mastered. He'd achieved the 10,000-hour goal without ever holding it in his mind. He'd just practiced 5 minutes at a time, thousands of times. Research on goal setting and task initiation confirms this mechanism. Large, distant goals activate the prefrontal cortex's planning and evaluation systems, which create decision paralysis. Small, immediate actions activate motor systems directly, bypassing evaluation. When subjects focus on tiny next actions rather than overall goals, task initiation increases by 300%. This principle, combined with the previous two, created a powerful system. Instant action pattern, 3-second rule, fear-based motivation, consequence visualization, and task decimation, 5-minute focus, together eliminated 90% of his procrastination. But one final element was needed for complete reprogramming. Chapter 5. The Principle of Kanryō. Kwaikan. Completion. Pleasure. At age 30, Musashi had been practicing anti-procrastination training for 10 years. His instant action was reliable. His fear use was effective. His task decimation was consistent. But he noticed something. It still required effort. Slight effort, but effort nonetheless. He wanted procrastination elimination to be automatic, effortless, permanent. He discovered the fourth principle, Kanryō Kwaikan, completion pleasure. The practice of rewiring your brain's reward system to crave task completion instead of task avoidance. Musashi wrote, "The procrastinator's brain is programmed. Delay task to relief to pleasure. This loop has been practiced 10,000 times. To fully reprogram, install new loop. Complete task to relief to pleasure. Practice this 10,000 times until completion becomes the craving, not avoidance. The deepest level of reprogramming. Change what your brain finds pleasurable. Currently, your brain gets pleasure from procrastination, the relief when you decide to delay. You need to retrain it to get more pleasure from completion than from avoidance. The Kanryō Kwaikan protocol. Immediate celebration ritual. The moment you complete any task, even tiny tasks, immediately pause and consciously feel satisfaction. Don't rush to the next task. Stop. Notice, I completed this. It's done. Let the completion pleasure register in your brain. This trains. Completion equals pleasure. The completion announcement. After finishing tasks, say out loud or write. Task complete. I did what I said I would do. This verbal reinforcement strengthens the completion pleasure response. Your brain hears the announcement and associates completion with positive identity. The contrast awareness. Deliberately compare the feeling of completion versus the feeling of procrastination. When I complete tasks immediately, I feel capable and calm. When I procrastinate, I feel guilty and stressed. Make the contrast conscious. Your brain will start preferring the better feeling. The dopamine reassociation. Procrastination currently produces dopamine, relief from task pressure. Rewire this by pairing completion with even stronger dopamine. Immediately after task completion, do something mildly pleasurable. Drink water you enjoy. Step outside for 30 seconds. Take 3 deep breaths in sunlight. Task completion to immediate pleasant experience to dopamine spike to brain. Learns completion is rewarding. Musashi implemented this religiously. Every task, no matter how small, complete it. Pause. Feel the satisfaction. Some announce completion, compared to how procrastination feels. He was deliberately training his brain to crave completion. Week 1, felt artificial and forced. Week 4, starting to feel natural. Week 12, he noticed something profound. He was craving task completion. When tasks appeared, his immediate thought wasn't, I should do this, obligation. It was, I want to complete this, desire. The reprogramming was working at the deepest level. After 1 year of Kanryō Kwaikan practice, his brain had completely rewired. Tasks appeared and he felt immediate pull toward completing them, not away from them. The procrastination program still existed in his brain. Old neural pathways never fully disappear. But it was so weak compared to the instant completion program that it rarely activated. And neuroscience research on habit formation and reward circuitry explains this transformation. The brain's reward system can be retrained to find pleasure in different behaviors. When completion is consistently paired with reward, satisfaction, announcement, pleasant experience, the brain begins to crave completion. After sufficient repetition, the craving becomes automatic. You genuinely want to complete tasks rather than avoid them. The 4 principles working together created complete procrastination elimination. Shunkan Kōdō, instant action pattern. 3-second rule interrupts procrastination before it fully activates. Kyōfu no Riyō, using fear. Consequence visualization makes delay more uncomfortable than action. Komoku bunkatsu, task decimation. 5-minute reduction prevents overwhelming tasks from triggering procrastination. Kanryō Kwaikan, completion pleasure. Reward rewiring makes completion desirable instead of avoidable. Combined effect, procrastination program deleted, instant completion program installed. Chapter 6, The Complete Transformation. By age 40, Musashi had lived 20 years with a reprogrammed mind. Procrastination was not just reduced, it was essentially non-existent. His brain automatically executed tasks upon awareness. No delay, no resistance, no internal negotiation. His daily life demonstrated complete reprogramming. Morning, tasks appeared in awareness. Sword maintenance, training preparation, correspondence. Each task triggered instant action. No "I'll do it later" voice, no resistance feeling, just immediate movement toward completion. Throughout day, complex projects, difficult training, or uncomfortable tasks, all executed immediately upon decision. His brain didn't generate delay responses anymore. The instant action program was so strong that delay felt more uncomfortable than action. Decision making. Decisions needed. Make them instantly. No deliberation paralysis. Evaluate quickly, decide, execute. The old pattern of "let me think about it," procrastination in disguise, was gone. Long-term projects, massive undertakings that would paralyze most people, he'd reduce to 5-minute actions and execute immediately. Over time, the massive projects completed themselves through accumulated micro-actions. When others asked, "How do you never procrastinate?" "I always delay things I know I should do." Musashi's answer: "I deleted the procrastination program through 20 years of reprogramming." You're still running the old program because you've practiced it 10,000 times, but never practiced the replacement. They didn't believe it was possible. Procrastination is just human nature. Everyone procrastinates. Musashi: procrastination is a trained pattern, not human nature. Babies don't procrastinate. They act immediately on every impulse. You learn to procrastinate through years of practicing delay. You can unlearn it through years of practicing instant action. But most people won't invest the years because that itself triggers procrastination. This was the paradox. Overcoming procrastination requires consistent practice over time. But procrastinators procrastinate on the very training that would eliminate procrastination. They stay trapped in the loop. Chapter 7. The truth about modern procrastination. Here's what Musashi understood that modern people refuse to see. Modern life is specifically designed to strengthen your procrastination program, not weaken it. Every app, every platform, every service is engineered to maximize instant gratification and minimize delayed gratification. Immediate entertainment, always available. Instant communication, always accessible. Quick dopamine hits constantly offered. Your brain is being trained thousands of times daily. When discomfort appears, immediately escape into pleasure. This is procrastination training. Discomfort should do work. To escape, scroll social media. To relief, feel better temporarily. Repeat 10,000 times. Your brain learns. Avoid discomfort through immediate gratification. This is the procrastination program on steroids. Modern procrastination statistics reveal the epidemic. The average person procrastinates 3.5 hours per day on essential tasks while spending those hours on non-essential activities. This costs the average person 32% of their potential life productivity. Over a lifetime, procrastination steals roughly 20 years of productive time. Musashi lived before smartphones, social media, infinite entertainment. But the principle remains. Easy pleasure strengthens procrastination. Difficult action strengthens instant execution. Modern life offers infinite easy pleasure and minimal requirement for difficult action. The procrastination program is strengthened daily while the execution program atrophies. The solution isn't removing all pleasure. It's reprogramming your automatic response to tasks. When task appears, your current program runs. Delay, distract, avoid. After reprogramming, new program runs. Count 3 seconds, move, execute, complete. Feel satisfaction. Research on procrastination reveals it's not about poor time management or laziness. It's about emotion regulation. Procrastinators are avoiding the negative emotions associated with tasks: boredom, anxiety, frustration. The avoidance provides temporary relief but strengthens the avoidance pattern. Breaking procrastination requires retraining the emotional response to tasks, not learning better planning. Chapter 8. The Path Forward. You don't need 20 years like Musashi. You can begin reprogramming today. Week 1 to 2. Install Shunkan Kōdō, instant action pattern. The 3-second rule for everything. Every task awareness to count 1, 2, 3 to immediate physical movement toward task. No exceptions. No, just this once I'll delay. Every single time, count and move. Micro-task breakdown. Every task reduced to smallest first action. Don't clean house. Pick up one item. Don't write report. Open document. Execute the micro-action immediately. Track your compliance. Mark every time you follow the 3-second rule. Watch the consistency build. Your brain is learning new pattern through repetition. Week 3 to 4. Add Kyōfu no Riyō, using fear. Morning consequence visualization. 5 minutes daily imagining consequences of continued procrastination. Be specific and vivid. Feel the fear. Let it motivate immediate action. Deadline awareness. For every task, calculate exactly when consequences arrive. Make the timeline visible. I have 7 days until this deadline. Each day I delay increases failure probability. Week 5 to 8. Implement Komoku Bunkatsu, task decimation. 5-minute reduction rule. Every large task reduced to, what can I do in 5 minutes right now? Execute the 5 minutes immediately. Then decide next 5 minutes. Single next action focus. Never think about entire project. Only ever identify single next physical action. Complete it. Identify next one. Chain of micro-executions. Present-only consciousness. Train yourself to think only about present action. Eliminate future overwhelm. Only now exists. What's the action right now? Week 9 to 12. Build Kanryō Kwaikan, completion pleasure. Immediate celebration ritual. Every completed task, arrow pause, arrow consciously feel satisfaction, arrow announce, complete arrow notice the good feeling. Train brain, completion equals pleasure. Completion dopamine pairing. After task completion, immediate small pleasure, water, sunlight, deep breath. Task completion to immediate reward to brain learns completion is rewarding. Contrast awareness practice. Daily comparison of completion feeling versus procrastination feeling. Make conscious choice toward better feeling. Expected timeline. Week 2. First experiences of instant action feeling natural. Week 4. Fear motivation overriding procrastination on important tasks. Week 8. Task decimation preventing overwhelm. Consistent 5-minute executions. Week 12. Completion starting to feel genuinely pleasurable, craving it. Month 6. Procrastination significantly reduced. Instant action becoming default. Year 1. Procrastination program largely overwritten. New program dominant. The transformation requires consistency. Every day, practice the new patterns. Your brain will resist the old procrastination program fighting for survival. But with each practice, the new program strengthens and the old program weakens. Eventually, you won't need to fight procrastination. The instant action program will run automatically. Musashi died at age 62, having lived 40+ years without procrastination controlling him. Every task appeared, he executed immediately. No delay, no resistance, no internal war. The procrastination program had been completely overwritten. He sat before that crucial letter in the opening, the one that would determine his next duel. The old Musashi would have thought, I'll write it tomorrow. The new Musashi's brain didn't generate that thought. Task appeared to 3-second count to pen, picked up to letter, written to 5 minutes to complete. 2. That reprogramming is available to you, not through fighting procrastination with willpower, through systematically replacing the procrastination program with the instant action program. You currently have a procrastination program running automatically in your brain. Task appears to delay to relief. You've practiced this loop thousands of times. It's deeply embedded, but programs can be overwritten. Install new loop. Task appears to count 3 seconds to move immediately to complete to feel satisfaction. Practice this loop thousands of times. It will become the new automatic response. Procrastination isn't your personality. It's a trained pattern. And what's trained can be retrained. If this video changed your perspective on procrastination and reprogramming, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. And tell me in the comments, What task are you procrastinating on right now? Write it honestly. Then apply the 3-second rule. Count 1, 2, 3, and take the first micro-action toward that task immediately after commenting. Begin the reprogramming now. Remember Musashi's teaching. The procrastinator practices delay 10,000 times and wonders why delay is automatic. Practice instant action 10,000 times and instant action becomes automatic. The reprogramming begins now.